So a week or two ago I made the Genshin vs Wuthering Waves comparison. Basically I was looking into the gameplay optimization, graphics, stuff like that. And I have seen a lot of feedback. A lot of players are blaming the engine for the lack of quality, lack of animations in Genshin Impact. And I thought, well, okay, if that's the case, then all the other games that are made in Unity should have about the same issue. And I kind of wanted to check that out. I wanted to explore that and see it for myself to see what's true and what's not true. Now, the ideal candidate for this test would be Arknight's Enfield, but unfortunately that game is still not released. And obviously I did not get into the beta test as usual. That's fine. I had to go and look for other games. There is also a good candidate that I'll test out next time. X Asteris has top-notch optimization, better optimization than Wuthering Waves. Looks about the same, I would say. The only difference and the only reason why I didn't pick that game for this test today is the fact that the gameplay is not similar at all. Wuthering Waves, Genshin Impact, and in this case Grey Raven are action RPGs, while X Asteris is a hybrid turn-based game. But still a good game though. I will compare it in a different video. But I went with Grey Raven because the game is made in Unity. The game is very similar gameplay-wise to Wuthering Waves. I would say it does classify in the same genre, although it's not an open world game like Wuthering Waves, but the gameplay and the overall aesthetics, believe it or not, even the graphics are very similar. Now, first thing that we see that the design language, I mean, both games are made by the same studio, same developers at the end of the day, so seeing similarities is normal and expected. Wuthering Waves is running in Unreal Engine 4. Grey Raven is running in Unity, I think Unity 6. I forgot what the latest version was, but they update the engine regularly, which is a very nice thing that a developer studio should be doing. And well, now I will start with the overall character looks. When I say looks, I don't look at the art style. The art style is actually very similar, which makes this comparison much easier to do. But I'm going to be looking into the overall details, textures and stuff as the last time, polygon count, overall animations, and all that, which is comparable between the games, by the way. Art style, as I mentioned before, same developers, so you can expect similar art style. And honestly, you can easily use the Grey Raven characters and add them in Wuthering Waves, and you can do the other way around. It will work. Now, immediately when you look at the characters side by side like this, I think most would agree that Wuthering Waves does seem to have the overall higher polygon count, which is to be expected, but honestly the difference is not that big to notice it immediately. Now first let me show the settings. Both games will be running at the highest possible option. The difference here is that Wuthering Waves has ray tracing, will have ray tracing support, and it does support a upscaling technology, it does have FSR, while Grey Raven doesn't have ray tracing and doesn't have any upscaling technology. To be honest, Grey Raven doesn't need that. The game is highly optimized, very lightweight and highly optimized, so it runs on anything really. Performance issues on Grey Raven are, I would say, non-existent. I'm kind of on the verge of volumetric lighting. I think Grey Raven does have that, and some of the effects are definitely better in Wuthering Waves. I would say it is normal to expect that, since Unreal Engine is the more powerful engine, that there is no denying it, but Unity is not incapable of delivering good visuals. Kuro did a very good job with Unity on Grey Raven, and honestly, when you look at the characters side by side like this, now obviously there will be differences. However, when you look at the overall animation first, both games have really good animations. They don't look like the characters look lively, they don't look dead. I value those animations a lot because they add a lot of immersion and quality to the overall experience. I mean, it definitely does look better to look at a character that doesn't look dead in the eye. I think we can all agree on that. And the overall animations are incredibly well made on both games. I have honestly zero complaints about any animations in both of the games. I would say the smaller details are maybe a little bit more present in Wuthering Waves, but that's maybe. It's honestly very tough to come to a conclusion so quickly just by looking at the characters. Wuthering Waves doesn't have as many characters as Great Haven. I mean, you have like how many constructs we have in Great Haven? A lot, and the Great Haven does have a lot more skins. Just now, we're actually starting to see skins added in Wuthering Waves, so we can expect a lot more skins, and I would say a lot more unique interactions maybe down the road. Pretty much what Kuro done with Great Haven. Some of the skins have unique animations, but overall the model quality, I can't complain on both games. They are top notch, and again, one game is Unreal Engine 4, the other game is Unity, and the characters look very, very similar. You would notice the difference only if you really look, for the differences. But for the most part, there is little to no difference when you immediately look at both characters here. And again, the overall aesthetics are very similar, so it makes the comparison actually very easy to do. For a moment, I thought I mixed up the screens there, but yeah. When it comes to skins, Great Haven has a lot more skins, so a lot of skins to choose from. I love the pose that Luna's doing there. My apologies, a little neuron activation moment. Neuron overload, actually. Okay, so those were the characters and overall the model quality. No complaints. Which one does look better? That's a tough question to make. I don't know. I like both. I mean, you have to keep in mind that the characters in Great Haven are constructs. They will not have the same warmth in the overall color. They don't have blood like, let's say, humans do. They're machines. So, if you're wondering about the overall that they're looking a little bit pale, that's normal. They're machines. That's I would say the first thing that many players would probably notice. Also, kind of funny though, those so-called machines have more expressions than certain characters in a certain other game that we looked at last week. I find that hilarious, honestly. Anyway, all the sarcastic jokes aside, let's go on to the gameplay aspect. Now, this is where things get honestly interesting. Gameplay-wise, I think most players would agree that Great Haven's gameplay is snappier, more responsive. Definitely, most players would say the gameplay in Great Haven is more action-packed, smooth, and overall, a lot of players would prefer that type of gameplay over other gameplay types that there is. Now, when we look at Wuthering Waves and compare it to Great Haven, the gameplay in Wuthering Waves is definitely going towards to be the same type of gameplay that we see in Great Haven. Of course, you don't have the orb system. I love the orb system. I think a lot of players love the orb system as well. Maybe in the future, maybe when Wuthering Waves does mature a little bit, a couple months down the road, I can see Kuro adding a character that has the orb system. I think that's going to be a very nice nostalgic touch to the game. I can see them doing that. They're the type of developer that will do stuff like that. So maybe in the future we do get a character in Wuthering Waves that has the orb system like in Great Haven. However, if we were to look at overall moves of the character animations and the overall gameplay, it is very similar. Now, I would still say I think the overall gameplay in Grey Raven is more snappier and overall maybe a bit more satisfying. And overall, I'm saying that I've been playing the game for like 5 years, of course. So that's my general feel. And when Wuthering Waves originally launched, I felt like the gameplay in this game was a bit clunkier compared to Grey Raven. But as time went on, and as we are now in 2.0, or very soon in 2.1, the gameplay in this game, I feel like it improved, and it's slowly going towards the same gameplay style that we see in Grey Raven. I'm all in for that. I have literally no complaints about the current gameplay in Wuthering Waves. I would say it's very similar. All the characters have some of the characters have multiple ultimates, a lot of various different skills. We see the same thing in Grey Raven, where some of the new units have a bunch of different animations, different ultimates, multiple ultimates. We are starting to see the same thing in Wuthering Waves as well, where you have different skills, different switch skills, different ultimates and stuff like that. They're all about the same thing in the combat aspect, just with a different name. But the overall gameplay in both games, no complaints. Huge thumbs up to both games from me, because I'm able to get the same feeling out of both games. Maybe the effects, the overall combat effects, this is where things maybe might favor Wuthering Waves just a little bit more because of the Unreal Engine. But I would say the effects in Grey Raven are also really good. Flashy, nice to look at, and overall very smooth. The smoothness is unreal. Pun not intended, by the way. The smoothness in Grey Raven is unreal. That game is buttery smooth. I kind of wish that they add 120 FPS support on mobile for that game. Definitely able to handle that now with the current hardware that we have. I mean, 5-year-old chipsets were able to do 120 FPS. The current chipset could do 500 FPS on that game. I would love if they would add a no cap limit on Grey Raven. Would work really, really well. Now the bosses. The bosses in Wuthering Waves did feel like that they took inspiration from Elden Ring and games like that. I'm all in for that, by the way. That those bosses are no joke there. And the overall boss difficulty in both games is actually really high. I like that. Both games have very challenging bosses. Both games have a lot of different bosses. And the boss battles in both games are very challenging, where player skill literally matters the most. In both games, if you mess up, you die. As simple as that. One wrong click and your character gets yeeted and you have to retry the stage. So on that scale, on the difficulty scale, both games have done that extraordinarily well. The bosses, sometimes I feel like the bosses in Wuthering Waves sometimes feel a little bit easier. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's really just me because I'm playing on a controller. But sometimes I feel like the bosses in this game are a bit easier. The hologram bosses, though, they are no joke. The hologram bosses, oh no, that's the real deal. Those are nasty bosses. I forgot to record those. That's one thing I forgot to do. Both games have farming stages that I would say generally very similar. And if you play the farming stages in one game, you will probably get used to the farming stages in the other game. I forgot to play the Tower of what's the name of that again? I forgot. The tower thing. I forgot to play it and compare it to the Pain Cage, and I forgot to compare it to the Warzone. I kind of wish that Wuthering Waves did implement the Warzone system, or something similar to the Warzone system from Grey Raven. I love the Warzone system. It does reward the player a lot. And I would say, when it comes to gameplay and stages, I think that's my complaint. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this one. I kind of wish that they did implement the Warzone system, where you have different maps that you can go to and play different maps with different buffs and different elements. I really like the Warzone from Graven. I mean, the tower is okay. It's not bad. I personally did enjoy the Warzone a lot more, and if they did implement that, I would be pretty happy. That's, I think, my only complaint about the gameplay in this game. Besides that, honestly, no other complaints. Honestly, no other complaints gameplay wise. The overall now the tacit fields, they are very. I feel like the tacit fields generally feel very similar to the memory farm stages that you have in Great Haven. I feel like the idea behind them is very similar. Not to say the same, but very similar. Just that they decided to do it a little bit differently in this case, and I'm all in for that. Each different tacit field has different elements, different drops, of course, that you can get, different stats as well. While on the memory farming stages, I think you can get all memories from a single stage. You don't have different stages for different memory element or different memories. Of course, you also do have the material stage that you get with each new event, and you also can buy the memories from the shop. Does make farming in Great Haven a lot easier, but honestly, getting echoes over here is also not that difficult. Getting the good stats though, that's the problem that I'm getting. So let's move on to performance. Now this is where this game kind of falls down if we compare it to Grey Haven, but honestly, to give Kuro credit, it's their first Unreal Engine project, and if you compare the game now and if you compare version 1.0, night and day difference performance-wise. They are doing a good job with performance. I know there is still no Vulkan support, but for what it is at the moment, it is night and day difference between version 1.0. When it comes to performance, they are truly doing what they can, and the next step would be to implement Vulkan support. This game desperately needs Vulkan support if you want super stable 60 FPS, but honestly, right now as it is, it's doing a good job so far. I'm getting 60 FPS. Now the difference here is I'm recording, and my recorder loves to eat about 20% of the CPU, and my frames drop because of the recorder. In normal circumstances, in normal gameplay, there is no frame drop. It's smooth, stable. Wuthering Waves is definitely heavier than Grey Haven. There is no denying that, and the overall performance is definitely going to be better on Grey Haven. Obviously, it's a lighter game, and overall, the optimization has been done better on Grey Haven, and of course, being light helps a lot. But honestly, Wuthering Waves runs okay, and for the most part, you shouldn't be encountering a lot of problems. I have done a bunch of videos regarding performance on this game. I basically have a tradition to do a performance test with every new version update, and it is getting better and better, that's for sure. The performance is getting better and better, little bit by little bit, but it is getting better. So I'm not going to complain too much about that, because I'm very sure the developers are aware of it, and knowing Kuro, it's one of the very few cases where I can safely say that they will work on it, they'll fix it, because honestly, so far they truly did fix a lot of things. And I'm encountering some throttling. You can forgive the device here for throttling. This is the second or third video that I recorded today with Wuthering Waves, and with doing a bunch of tests. So this little device is a little bit tired. If this phone could talk, if this phone could talk, I can tell you this thing would curse me in every single language possible. It would even curse me in some alien languages that we haven't discovered yet, because I've been using this little phone a lot lately for tests and stuff like that. So a little throttling here and there is forgiven, because in normal circumstances there is no throttling. The 8 Gen 2 is 100% stable, 100% stability on this device. So when it comes to FPS and performance, for Wuthering Waves, it's getting better. So you can trust Kuro with that. You can't say that with some other developers out there that I'm not going to name. I think we all know who I'm referring to, that haven't done anything with their game for 5 years regarding performance. Actually, they did something. They added a potato mode that doesn't really help anything, just makes the game look worse. That's a little bit sad when you think about it. I'm not gonna say anything. I think you guys know what game I'm referring to. Let's just keep those jokes at a, not at the minimum. Let's just keep those jokes in a balanced way, in a balance. But yeah, this game is surprisingly not GPU intensive. Basically, you can go and get the resolution up in this game all the way to 4K easily. And this is the thing where both games are actually equal to. Gradient runs in native resolution. Whatever resolution you have on your phone, tablet, the game will run it at resolution. If you have a 4K display, it will be 4K game right from the very start. In Wuthering Waves, you have 720p upscale to 1080p, but you can actually go to the configuration file and set the desired native resolution manually, which works flawlessly well. So both games are able to run in native 1080p or whatever resolution that you want in, which is a good thing. You are not limited and hard capped at 720p resolution. You can choose whatever resolution that you want. Okay, now let's go to Gradient. Now before we start, I just want to show you something incredible that very few games actually do. Just a attention to detail that Kuro does, something that I deeply respect him for, and the reason why I'm still playing, one of the reasons why I respect him and why I still am very deep into their games right now. This game has mouse and keyboard support, native mouse and keyboard support on mobile. That's been in the game ever since I played the game, 2017-18. That game had mouse and keyboard support since day one. Funny how this game can have mouse and keyboard, literal mouse and keyboard support, while a certain other game still doesn't have simple controller support after 5 bloody years. That's embarrassing, honestly. Now let me just go to the settings and let me go to the controls buttons, control keyboard, there we go, keyboard keys, and just enable this, and you are set to go. Plug in mouse and keyboard and you can play this game like you would play on PC. If you can connect the game to a monitor, you can get literal desktop experience with Gradient, with zero difference between the PC version of the game. I'm personally impressed by this because this has been in the game since day one. And let me just show the keyboard. There's the keyboard. There's the phone connected via the cable. I'm in a very dumb position because this takes a lot of place and I was trying to find a cool place not to burn this device. Keyboard is turned on, as you can see the light there, and I wish I connected my mouse. I forgot to do that. Okay, so mouse and keyboard, well, keyboard in this case is connected. Works with the mouse as well. If you want to play like that, you can. Again, if you connect, in this case my Samsung, if I connect my Samsung to my display, to my monitor, I can use DeX and get desktop experience with this game. Alright, let's go to the gameplay. I'll play on the keyboard because why not? It's there, I can use it. I don't want my dumb fingers to be all over the screen. I'll play on the keyboard. I'm not that good on this game with keyboard, but I'll manage. This game I'm actually much better at playing with my fingers than playing with mouse and keyboard. I suck on Gradient with mouse and keyboard. Funny that I suck with mouse and keyboard, but I'm actually really good with a controller. That's kind of funny. Okay, let me just find the buttons. There we go. Okay, I literally clicked all over the place to remember the commands. And now, as we can see, I mean, the gameplay in this game, I wish I had time to play all the characters because I feel like I am not doing justice by playing Empyrea and the current 3 characters that I have on my team, because this game has so many different playstyles. It's insane. Every single character in the game has a very unique, different playstyle that feels very satisfying to use. They're all extremely smooth, very flashy, overall, very well detailed. So the fun factor in this game is gameplay-wise through the roof. I'm playing the good old Warzone here because this is the fire map. If Wuthering Waves had something like this, I would be pretty happy. But honestly, I guess the Abyss is good enough. I don't want to complain too much about something as the Abyss. I mean, it's good enough, really. If we were to look at overall details and the overall ambience of the game, well, we can say for sure that there is a difference in the overall texture quality. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look blurry. It doesn't look low resolution or low polygon or anything like that. It actually looks very good. And this is where I will give a lot of credit to Gradient, because the game always was crystal clear, always was very smooth, and I never encountered any blurring or anything like that in this game. This game always was and always will be crystal clear and very smooth. Wuthering Waves can appear a little bit blurry, but I'm not going to go and criticize the game on that too much, because if you don't want to see any blur, you can easily remove the blur from the engine and from the custom configurations that are not modding, by the way. That's not modding. When you do add custom configurations, you're basically telling the engine to compile the game in a slightly different way, in slightly high resolution with the already available assets. Basically, changing the resolution from the configuration file would be the same thing as changing the resolution from the game settings on PC in Wuthering Waves. And Genshin Impact doesn't allow you to do that. In fact, if you try to do something like that that enhances that game, you get banned for that. That's what I've been told. And I've seen some players getting banned for trying to make that game look remotely good. So again, that's just huge respect for me to Kuro for actually being a good developer team. Something that I feel like is a rarity nowadays, unfortunately. It used to be different back in the day. And that's why that's why Kuro is kind of one of the very few developer teams that I'm 100% confident in, because they promised and they delivered, as they like to say. I feel like they took that slogan a little bit too serious, because they're literally all the way into that. I don't complain. That's what a proper developer team should do. And there is even the USB keyboard displayed there. I forgot to check that. That was the better way of actually checking things. Okay. Now let's go and do the optimization test. As I mentioned before, I really wish that this game had 120 FPS support, because the current generation hardware is more than capable of delivering 120 FPS. That's the only thing I feel like the game is missing on. But optimization wise, performance wise, I think this game is impossible to lag. I don't think this game lags on anything. Very lightweight, very well optimized. And despite I'm saying lightweight, the game looks incredibly good. Even when you call it lightweight, the game honestly looks incredible. Obviously, I mean, there's a huge difference. This is a instance-based game, Wuthering Waves open world game, but some of the maps in this game are huge, and those maps all still run really well. There is no problem with the performance. So, and the optimization here is done really well. The game does run in OpenGL, which, as I mentioned before, it's fine. This game running in OpenGL is not a big problem because, again, lightweight, highly optimized, and it doesn't need Vulkan. In this case, this game does not need Vulkan because it already runs really well right from the very start. Super stable, super smooth, 60 FPS, as to be expected. Stability is also really good. The thermals are also really decent, as I mentioned before. The reason why you might see some extra heat here is my recorder. Basically, the recorder records, and that takes about 20% of the CPU usage, and that does add to some of the extra add-on heat. But on this game, that's really no big deal. And well, one day you can expect Wuthering Waves to run in the same way. I mean, it already runs, just a little bit more frame dips here and there, and just a little less unstable here and there. But for the most part, I believe in the developers that they will fix that. I mean, they proved that they're willing to fix things. They proved that they're willing to make the player experience better. So I do trust them a lot when it comes to solving problems. And I'm still playing on mouse and keyboard, by the way, getting used to it a little bit. But I feel like I'd play much better if I use the on-screen controls. In any case, we are slowly nearing the end of the video. Both games made by the same developer. As we can see, both games share a lot of similarities. They are definitely very similar, and both games are improving pretty much. Every single update on both games seems to be more enjoyable. Very glad that I actually went back with Great Aaron. I'll be playing the game active now. I did have a couple months break from it, but every time I take a break from it, I always regret taking a break from this game because this game is always fun. I always enjoy it. I will always enjoy it. I mean, the gameplay is just so smooth. Yeah, Wuthering Waves will get to this level as well. Don't worry about it. It's made by the same developer. They will definitely make Wuthering Waves as fast-paced as this. I mean, this is just I'm still amazed how they pulled off Graven a couple years ago. It was such a move, such a great move. In any case, that would be it for this little comparison. I had enjoyed playing both games, honestly. Fantastic games, fantastic developer, and you know, when the developer likes their game, the player will like the game and the developer in return, and it is a win-win for everyone at the end. But do tell me in the comments down below what do you think about both games. Which one of these games do you think looks better for you? And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments down below. But with that being said, stay safe. As always, I'll see you next time.